PJ Rendawa live in the newsroom, and today, looking at the video that we just saw of just some of the damage, people may have a better understanding of why the governor compared this storm to a hurricane.
That's right. She actually compared it to Hurricane Hugo, which we saw in '89. But keep in mind, Aiken is just one of 17 counties reporting severe damage and debris after this week's storm. Now, take a look at this video and you'll see again why. Downed trees all over the place, sidewalks blocked. There are even power lines that people are simply driving around at this point. Now, during Haley's press conference, many residents asked her, when is our power coming back on? A lot of frustrated people. The answer we're getting right now is Monday night at the earliest in many cases, and this is what the governor had to say. She's obviously very concerned, and this was her advice to the public.
And that's what weighs heavy, is we know there are people who are hungry, there are people who are cold, there are people who are not in safe situations. We are trying to use the tools, whether it be shelters, whether it be the American Red Cross, to get help.
Speaking of tools, there are 37 warming shelters across the state that people without power are being encouraged to use. A FEMA team is on the ground. They're assessing the situation and damage, and they may be opening up more shelters, bringing in additional generators as they determine are needed during their investigations. Live in the newsroom, PJ Rendawa, WIS News 10.
Here are the latest.
PJ Rendawa continues our first alert team coverage now at 5. She's live at the Emergency Operations Center in West Columbia. PJ.
That's right, Dondi. I'm here at the center where all the emergency resources are being coordinated. Now, yesterday we heard from the DOT, and they feared that they would run out of salt by this afternoon. Luckily, that's when the National Guard was able to step in and save the day, and possibly even your commute tomorrow morning. Now, last night they got word, and that's when the National Guard crews started mobilizing 30 trucks. By the end of today, we'll have delivered 600 tons of salt all the way from Charleston here to Columbia, the DOT center in Columbia. Now, I'm hearing from leaders in the National Guard that crews will be back tomorrow with up to 1,000 additional tons of salt, also from Charleston coming to Columbia. DOT drivers at the center also told me they've seen at least 60 trucks going back and forth, some with as much as 30 tons of salt each. So definitely no shortages, at least in this area. And, you know, the National Guard tells me the system is moving slowly, this emergency management system, and all the needs that are being presented have been met.
Yesterday about noon, we found out that the commercial haulers were not able to bring the salt in because of the road conditions, and they called upon the National Guard. And our great men and women of the Guard, they do what they do best. They showed up last night. They staged all the way from the upstate down to Charleston, and were prepared to move salt first thing this morning. So they've done 2 loads at first group. Second group's here now, and the third group's already going down.
Now, this salt will be spread throughout the Midlands, not just here in Columbia. There are also 12 National Guard record crews out there on the roads assisting motorists and the Highway Patrol. Live in the Emergency Operations Center, PJ Rendawa, WIS News 10.
PJ, thank you. WIS's PJ Rendawa is still there, where staff are working around the clock to try to move resources across our state. PJ?
That's right. Well, I'll give you a little synopsis of what the governor heard today and what she told us as well. Now, power outages, the latest information that we're getting from the people behind me is that 210,000 people or homes are without power at this moment. That number is growing every hour, and those numbers continue to increase. Now, on the streets, DOT has 1,500 workers out there salting the roads, making sure that they are clear for passage. They say most of them, the interstates, most of them are clear, and with a lull in snowfall here in the Midlands, at least, and maybe the case for maybe a few hours. Now, here's another number for you. It has emerged that the last storm, the one that we saw 2 weeks ago, that's cost the state $2 million. And today, Governor Haley requested a federal emergency declaration, and that high cost that results from snow events like this may be the reason.
Is really more precautionary by nature, just in case we need generators, MREs, water, anything to supplement what we already need. It is more of me just making sure we're ahead of the curve. Should we need it, we have not asked for anything yet. We've just submitted it so that we have time to do that. Any assistance that the state does get will be split 75-25
federal government, state. Now, some of that will be, as the governor said, generators, resources, manpower. Now, the real tipping point is going to be on Thursday, whether or not conditions continue to worsen. That's when DOT says they'll run out of salt and they'll have to get more resources in. So we'll have to continue to monitor the weather patterns and see what develops. But live at the Emergency Operations Center, PJ Randhawa, WIS News 10.
All right.